Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to go over these Terminator Queen Studios pieces. Now I'm going to separate this out into two separate videos. One for the T1000, one for the T800, but I thought I would show them paired together here, which of course they made them pair nicely. And also I'll give a little background information on these couple of pieces. So yeah, let's just dive in. Now, as mentioned, this was made by a company called Queen Studios back in 2020. Now, at that juncture in my collecting, I really had zero interest in getting anything that was of a human character. I mean, no offense to the people that have some of those older pieces, but they just did not look hyper realistic, and I wanted something that looked like it jumped off the movie screen. And while I did have, not positive I had this T800 yet at the time, I definitely had this T600 and this T700 and the TX. You know, while these things look like they came off the movie set, or darn close to it, when it came to human characters, you can tell that, you know, it was a statue of a human character. It wasn't that person actually on your shelf. So I had some save search on eBay, and this T1000 actually is what popped up. And I remember seeing it, and I'm like, wait, is that real? And I started doing some research on Queen Studios, and I think they were kind of making their rounds with these two pieces, and I'm like, wow, that just looks almost too good to be true. And the more research I did, you know, it looked like they were some company that, or at least I think the original guys, they worked in the movie business, so I guess they were making hyper real stuff for actual movies and decided to start their own company to, well, they were big collectors themselves, and they wanted to make some pieces for their own collection that were hyper real. So yeah, it definitely sparked my interest. Now, the price tag on these was also, I was not spending near as much on collectibles back then as I've spent in the last few years, of course. And this guy, I believe, was priced at $28.99, and this guy was priced at $27.99. So Arnold was like $100 cheaper. I guess since the T1000 included his arm, it was a little more expensive, even though they definitely had to do a little more work on the battle damage that they put here. So anyhow, I got a hold of a seller overseas that was working directly with Queen Studios, and I think he just recently sold out of the T800, but he still had a couple of the T1000s left. And I was really debating, because I was like, man, that is a lot of money, and money does not grow on trees in the life-size household. Otherwise, I would get into the money tree foresting business if I was successful there. So it was a lot of change for me to spend at the time. But the more I looked at it, and just the hyper realism and the detail that they put into it, and being such a huge Terminator fan, I really see this kind of as a piece of art. Or at least that's what I convinced myself as. And I went ahead and I did pull the trigger. And really, I have not been disappointed. That kind of got me hooked to get these hyper real busts. So yeah, let's just dive into the review. So this T1000 bust, let's just kind of start with the base here. As you can see, the bases are very similar, but on the T1000, they put the bullet hole effect, which is very cool. Of course, you're probably a fan of Terminator 2 if you saw this movie, but you did see this effect with the bullet holes many times in the movie. So I think it's pretty cool that they did it to the base. Now the base itself, I don't know, it's some type of futuristic design. You know, it looks decent. Now I heard some people complain that it says Terminator 2 3D with the 3D part, but I think licensing wise, that's how they got the license. It was actual the Terminator 2 3D license that they got, so that's why they had to put it on there that way. Now moving up to the body, as you can see for this particular one, they went ahead and did the one arm pose, which you know, I understand how some people think it's pretty weird if the thing just has one arm, they look like an amputee or whatnot. But, you know, I kind of like it in this particular pose. I'm not quite sure exactly, you know, the other arm just would have been there. And I think at this time, having half torso bust was not in the norm. This was kind of before Infinity Studios kind of did their thing with having the full half torso. So, yeah, I don't mind the pose at all. In fact, if you remember right, this is the pose that was right at the end of the movie where Sarah Connor was hitting him with the shotgun shells and backing him up, where he was like one shot away from falling into that melted metal pit. And then she ran out of shells and he stopped and gave her the finger wave. And in fact, if you look behind here, I kind of put a picture of that scene, which is kind of ironic because I had this picture well before I even knew this bus existed. And I had this shotgun from that scene because I wanted a Sarah Connor representation in my collection. So I actually had the shotgun from that scene, and I had the picture by there. So this thing coming up and being from that same exact scene was, you know, just kind of fit in perfect with the collection. Now, as you can see, this is real close, and it's pretty nicely done. I mean, it feels like what a police uniform would look like. You know, these buttons that they put on top, these are like real metal buttons. You know, they didn't skimp out and just do some cheap 3D printed plastic. Also, this badge, this is a real metal badge. So, you know, they didn't cheap out here, and you can just see all the detail that they put on the badge. So it, you know, it looks like the real deal. And you can also see that there's some more bullet holes on them. Now, one thing I probably would have preferred is if they chromed these bullet holes. You know, like this piece of chrome here. But in reality, it's kind of hard to see. These were actually from the movie. So that even in the movie, when you see the actual bullet holes, they're not quite all the way chromed. So I don't know. It's pretty close. I just think it probably would have looked a little bit better if they would have chromed it. And the name tag, it's nicely done. Now you can see that the hand looks very real. You can almost see like the bones and the veins that are in it. And of course the finger looks hyper real also. Let's see if I can get it to focus there. There it goes. Now, one thing I noticed on the Proto was they actually had the little hairs in there also. on the knuckles, which I can see like the indents for it, but you can't actually see the hairs like if you look on my hand. It's kind of hard to focus in here. How I have like little hairs on my knuckles. So that part, I guess, from the proto to the actual item, they didn't do. But, you know, that's a small gripe. But yeah, really no complaints. I think they did a nice job on the uniform. I do like the pose. And they used, you know, real top-notch material with everything. They didn't cheap out. And here we got the portrait. Now, I don't think this is 100% Robert Patrick, but it is definitely the closest that I've seen. And in reality, he must be a hard guy to get the 100% likeness. Like, I know Prime 1 Studios is doing a third statue of him and Arnold. And to me, I think their likenesses look a little bit off. Even though these, well, maybe not Robert Patrick, Arnold definitely has been doing a ton. These guys must be really hard to get the likeness 100%. But for me, it's pretty good. It's probably, I don't know, 90%. And like I said, it's definitely the best that I've ever seen. So let me just go in here to get some of the close-up details. So you can see, you know, in the neck, you can see that vein work there. See it on that side also. Now he's pretty clean shaven, as he was in the movie. But yeah, when you get up close, you can just see the mole and just look at the detail on the skin. And he also has a little bit of a sweaty look, which actually kind of matches up to what this scene was. You can see the vein work there. Way I hear, ears are ultra hard to do. I think these ears look great. And yeah, look at the eyes. Very nice. Definitely looks like real eyes, real eyebrows. And these eyebrows were hand punched. And then, yeah, the hair itself. I mean, this is all real hair. Now, one complaint, they put a ton of product in this hair. So I really never have messed with it. And if you were going to mess with it, you're not going to get too far because they really put a lot of gel in this. Gel or some type of hairspray. But all these hairs are individually hand punched. So you can just imagine the amount of time on whoever did all this work that would have took them. So yeah, I am very excited to have this in my collection. And as mentioned, this is really my first hyper-real piece that I bought and kind of led me down the road of getting a lot of these hyper-real pieces. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. Got any questions, comments, whatnot, just throw it in the comments section. And until the next video. I almost forgot. Thought maybe you guys wanted to see the certificate that Queen Studios made for this bust. Now, I'm not going to read this. You guys can pause it if you would like to read it. But as you can see, they only made 99 of them. So that's why they kind of go for crazy prices these days. There's just not too many of them out there. I mean, I really hope for collectors out there that they do another T1000 or Infinity Studios or someone, you know, similar steps up, so other collectors can, you know, have a cool T1000 in their in their collection without having to pay the inflated prices that that this one goes for. But anyhow, thought you guys would like to see the certificate. Hey guys, I appreciate you watching another video. I'm a huge fan of home theater and these movie replica props. I'm going to put out a couple of videos each week in those areas. And if you're a huge fan like I am, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next video.